The Tao of Self-Confidence, Episode 169.
Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of real women producing extraordinary results by finding their inner journey to self-confidence 5 days a week. Get your free audiobook at our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Well, hello, friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap Chan. And today I have a phenomenal lady who's all the way from Australia. She is the founder of the C Method, and she also has a successful podcast, which is called Stand Out, Get Noticed. And I'm just really thankful that she's here today to share her story on self-confidence and tips that she has learned along the way. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Christina Canters. Christina, how are you today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourself to the listeners.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks, Sheena. And thanks so much for having me on the show. I'm really humbled to be here. So I think it's awesome what you're doing for women, especially Asian women. So yeah, keep up the great work. All right, so a little bit about me. As you've already mentioned, I'm from Australia. And the main thing that I do with my business is I help people to be more effective at public speaking and communication. I believe that everyone can learn to be more confident at speaking, and this is what I teach. And I do this through group workshops and coaching and through my podcast, Stand Out, Get Noticed. And this isn't a business that people ask me, how did you get into public speaking? Have you always been a speaker? Were you in media communications? And I say, no, I used to be an architect. And people go, what? That's a slight career change. And I'm like, yeah, because when I actually went through this whole phase of when I was at school, I decided, okay, I'm going to do architecture. Did that, studied for 6 years, graduated, got a job straight out of at a big architecture firm, worked there for 3 years, got my license as an architect. And at that point, I realized I don't want to do this anymore. This isn't for me. So I started to plot my exit. And from there, I started my first podcast. So not the one I'm doing now. I started one that was specifically for architecture and design students. And then I left my job, I left the country, and I went traveling. I lived in New York City. I spent the year meeting other business people, learning as much as I could about online business. And then when I came back, I reassessed and I relaunched my business, the C Method, as in the letter C, stands for confidence, communication, and connection, because that's what I help people with. And plus I'm Christina, so, it's genius. So that's my business, the C Method. And since then, it's just been incredible. I love being able to make a difference in people's lives. And I get emails, messages from people all the time saying, thank you so much. I've been able to implement what you've taught me, and I feel confident having conversations now. So it's not just public speaking that I teach. It's how do you be confident when talking about yourself in networking situations, in social situations, when people ask you, what do you do? Or tell us about yourself. I find a lot of people struggle with that. So that's one of the main things that I teach. And yeah, I love it. Super rewarding.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And Christina, what's your cultural background?
I'm half Malaysian, half Dutch. So my mum is Chinese Malaysian. She was born in Malaysia. She came to Australia to study when she was about 20 years old. My dad was born in Holland, and his family migrated to Australia when he was quite young. So he's quite Australianized, I suppose. But I've been to Malaysia many, many times, and that Asian culture has been quite ingrained in me and my sister growing up, which I love. I love having these different cultural backgrounds because it gives you an appreciation of the different cultures, and it gives you a wider world view, I find.
Awesome. And that's pretty cool. Thanks for sharing that. And, what would be your favorite self-confidence quote?
My favorite self-confidence quote, I would say, rather than it being a quote, it's more of an approach to what confidence actually is. And I read an amazing blog post by Mark Manson. Have you heard of him? He's a great writer, blogger, and it's all about confidence. And he says that the thing with confidence is that it has nothing to do with the comfort of what we achieve. Rather, it has everything to do with the comfort of what we don't achieve. And I loved this because what he's saying is if you're comfortable with failing, comfortable with what you actually won't achieve, that will make you confident in that thing. right? So for an example, a person who is confident in their relationship, they're confident because they're aware that that relationship could end or that terrible things could happen, but they accept that that could happen and they go, you know what, this could turn to crap, but I accept that's going to happen. And therefore that gives them confidence. And same with your business. If you accept that things aren't going to go to plan, that things might go wrong, that you might fail, if you're comfortable with failure, that's going to make you confident in your business. Whereas if you're not confident, if you can't deal with the fact that you might fail, you're going to be really skittish and needy and scared, and you won't get much accomplished. So that was one approach to confidence that I've found that I really, really resonated with and that I love.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And it's true, right? A lot of people see failure as something bad when it's something really positive that can help you build up that confidence and keep going and taking action on what you want. So great quote that you mentioned. And in your own words, how would you define self-confidence?
For me, being confident is to not need other people's validation. I mean, there are so many different things that come into it, but if I had to pick one thing, I would say if you just give less of an F, right, and you don't care what other people think, and you reduce that fear or abolish that fear, you can go about living your life feeling really confident and appearing really confident. You know, one thing that, was it a quote that I read somewhere? There was a quote that I read, actually maybe I should have used this for the last answer, but there was a quote that I read that was, the best way to get someone's approval is to not need it, right? And you hear this all the time with people who are, say if they're single, right, and they go, oh, I really need a partner, I need a girlfriend, I need a boyfriend, and they go out and they just come across as being needy, and they need this validation from someone, but that doesn't make them attractive. But then the minute they become comfortable with themselves and they go, you know what, I don't need anyone, I'm good, they automatically exude this air of confidence, and you know what, I can do this, I'm fine, I'm cool. And then that's what makes them attractive. And then that's what draws people to them. So for everyone listening, I would say, you know, care less about what other people think. I mean, think about what's the worst thing that could happen, and stop seeking people's approval and do things because you want to do them, because it makes you happy. And when you feel good like that, when you feel good about yourself and you learn to love yourself, that's what makes you confident. That's what gives you that confidence and helps you to let that confidence shine.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that definition. And it's true, right? The minute you stop caring about what other people think, that's when you're free to be whoever you want to be. So great definition. And Christina, what was your life like before your discovery of self-confidence?
I don't know if I actually discovered my self-confidence. I believe that confidence is something that you gradually build up and up and up. And it's something you can learn and acquire, as long as you continue to push yourself out of your comfort zone and challenge yourself bit by bit. Because you might be confident in one area of your life, but lack confidence in another area of your life. Now, before, I suppose, I started to really accelerate with my confidence once I started podcasting and blogging and creating content and putting it out there. And the very first time I created content online, it was a health and fitness blog, my personal blog, which I still have. And I almost didn't start it because I thought, oh, why would people read my blog? Because there are so many other blogs out there that are about health and fitness with recipes, and thought, why would they read it? And then a friend of mine said, Christina, the people who start to read your blog will be friends and family, but they will read it because it's you. And you can start by helping those people. And you don't write like anyone else. You are you. And that was really great advice. So I started the blog. And once I started to build that confidence with putting my work out there, putting my writing out there and getting great feedback from people, that gave me the confidence to then start a podcast. And then after I've been podcasting for a while, that gave me the confidence to start making videos. And beforehand, I used to hate seeing myself on video. I used to look at myself on video and go, am I really that much of a dork? I just look ridiculous. And I hated how I looked. I hated the sound of my voice. But doing the blog, then the podcast, that led up to me doing videos. And then once I got confident with that, I actually built up the confidence to put myself out there and perform in public. So I actually did a stand-up comedy gig in New York City. I went street performing here in Melbourne with my ukulele. I'm not a musician, And if you were to look at me in those moments, you think, wow, she's got so much self-confidence, right? But I wasn't always like that. It was a gradual improvement. And I believe that anyone can get there as long as you take those small steps, just like I did.
Awesome. And that's pretty awesome that you go out there and just start playing the ukulele, even though, you're not a musician. I totally can relate to you with creating content and doing videos and doing podcasts, right? Because when I first started doing this podcast, I really didn't want to hear my own voice.
So many podcasters have a problem with that.
Yeah, like I was so uncomfortable hearing my own voice. Like when I do videos, I don't even look at them. I just put them out. So for me, it was very uncomfortable to do it. But, gradually, like you said, gradually you get used to it and you become fine with, who you are and how you sound and how you talk. Because, as women too, we're so afraid of what other people might think. And the minute you just let go of that, it just gets easier and it gets better. So after that realization, you doing content creation, doing podcasts, doing videos, doing blogs, what's your life had been now?
Well, I feel I have ups and downs, like we all do. Sometimes I feel like I'm unstoppable, and other times I'm like, oh, what am I even doing? So it's for me now, it's a matter of keeping up that momentum. Momentum is so important because you can, like, the podcast is a great way for me to do that. And I'm sure it is for you. Like every single week you release an episode, you keep that momentum up. And as you slowly build that up, it becomes a habit. And then you become this person. You become this person who is putting out this content, who is not afraid, who doesn't mind a bit of shameless self-promotion, who is happy to say, yes, I will give this presentation, or yes, I will run this thing or host this thing or do this job. And eventually you just become it. But you do need to practice it daily.
Awesome. And I believe that too. Anything that you want to do in life, you just have to start doing it daily. That's the only way you can have that progression. Because I don't believe in perfection. We all screw up, there's days where I stutter on podcasts or, I butcher people's names because I forget to ask. But you know what? It's what makes you human. It's what makes people want to listen to you, right? Because you don't need to be that perfect person. You just need to be you, and you can attract the right person or the right people into your life. So that's awesome. And Christina, to the woman who's listening to your episode, she may be in her own journey of self-confidence. What would be that one tip you'd give to her?
One thing I would recommend, and this is something that I recommend in my 21-day confidence challenge that I have on my site, I always say to ask people who are close to you, so your close friends, colleagues, family members, ask them 2 questions and get feedback. The first question is, what do I do well? Okay, so you ask all the people close to you, what's one thing that you do well? And it could be, listening, could be working hard, it could be, you're great at singing, or you're great at sports, or you're great at solving problems, right? So ask a range of people, what's one thing I'm good at? But that's not enough. You need to then find out, why is this valuable to them? Okay, so the second question you're going to ask is, why is this valuable to you? And this is important because what you do well could be the same for a lot of people, right? Everyone, if you're obviously really good at, let's say, public speaking, a lot of people are going to say you're good at public speaking. But the reason why this is valuable to them is going to be different, right? And this is where you can see the true value that you bring to others. So let's say someone says, oh, you're a good listener. And then they might say, and this is valuable to me because it makes me feel like I'm always appreciated. And I feel like I'm listened to, and I don't get that from many people. Someone else might say, you're a good listener, and this is valuable to me because it inspires me to also become a good listener so I can build rapport with others, right? So the reason why is going to be different. And when you start to get this feedback and compile these answers, this will then begin to build up your confidence because you can see, wow, I'm actually helping this person to improve their life, or I'm making a real difference here. My hard work isn't going unnoticed, or I'm not. And you might discover things that you're good at that you didn't even realize you were good at. So this is a really, really powerful first step to discovering your strengths and knowing that you provide great value to other people and that you are worthy, and you can start to build up that confidence.
Thanks for sharing that tip, and I love it. I've never even heard of this exercise before, so this is great, and I hope the listeners will love, doing this exercise, doing this tip, asking their closest friends and family these two questions, because sometimes when you ask the ones closest to you these questions, you'll be surprised what they will answer. So thanks for sharing that. And Christina, if our listeners want to get to know a little bit more about you and want to listen to your podcast, is there any links or social media profiles we can connect with?
Sure, you can go to thecmethod.com, as in the letter C method.com. I have a 21-day confidence building challenge up there, which you can sign up for. It's totally free, and that will help you become more confident when talking about yourself in social situations or in business situations. And also, if anyone is going to Podcast Movement, I will be speaking there. It's in July in Chicago. I'm so excited. I'll be coming up to the US for a few weeks. Cannot wait. And I will be giving a presentation there on confidence and how to be confident behind the mic to build a truly successful podcast.
Christina, thank you for sharing that. And to our listeners, if you want to connect with Christina, you can also head on over to the taoselfconfidence.com and search for Christina's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else we talked about. And I just really want to thank Christina for taking the time to share her story with us. So thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Sheena. I hope your listeners get a lot out of this episode.
Not a problem, and I'm sure they got the value that they were looking for, so thank you so much. And to our listeners, be on the lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence, and we'll talk to you later. Bye for now. Thank you for joining us at the Tao of Self-Confidence. Head over to the taoofselfconfidence.com for full recaps of every show, our amazing blog articles and resources, and just plain fun. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits, so start today.